Yeah, my name is Denis Derafaka. I'm from Ogu, Okrika in Rivers State. I was born in 1952. I'm a Nigerian from Nigeria. Since my early life, in the primary school, I actually went to several primary schools because my dad moved around. And after that, went to government comprehensive school in Port Harcourt. And was there till about 1967 when the war broke, the Biafran war broke.
The Nigerian Civil War, which broke up in 1967, affected you personally. Can you describe?
Yes, yeah, it affected me because my town, Ogu in Okrika Council, but now Ogu district, was actually evacuated by the Biafrans during that time. And during the evacuation period, a number of our chiefs and other people were actually killed. Some of the chiefs were actually thrown into oil wells, etc. It was the fact that you don't know where your relatives were, and you don't know whether they were among those who were killed. And also when the evacuation took place, you didn't know whether those people who had actually dumped in oil wells, etc., actually were relatives. In fact, my dad was actually not well at that time. I've never seen my father's coffin or my father's dead body. War is very bad. I mean, there's no. I don't think there's any winners or losers in any war situation because people die, and I think the most vulnerable, particularly, are the ones that actually die. The young people, women, children, and then the fact that there's always a lot of hunger, a lot of diseases, etc. Unfortunately, those who remain to fight wars are usually those people who are the poor and vulnerable, the ones who may, in some cases, have organized and arranged war and are never around. So yeah, war is bad. To be honest, in my class, I wasn't treated differently, but I think there were statements that were made, and I can remember particularly with one lecturer who I think he had actually done some work in Nigeria. Actually, had been to Nigeria before, and he comes out with some statements that are derogatory,
like
statements that you're now using toothbrush now, aren't you, instead of chewing stick. And I remembered one of my friends actually who was very heady told him that actually chewing stick is even better than a toothbrush. And I think the other one that I find is not necessarily in the polytechnic itself, but I think at home when looking for accommodation, etc. And people were saying, well, where are you from? I'm from Nigeria, and I want to rent this accommodation, and you find that they say, I'm sorry, it's not available. And then it's some of our because there were some white young men who were actually very, very close to us and very, very friendly, and they will go and they will get the accommodation. In fact, one of us actually did that. He went for the accommodation. He didn't get it. We sent a friend of ours who is white. He got it, and then the black, the Nigerian lad went and stayed in the house, and the landlord almost killed himself because he said, you can't stay here because you are the person. He said, well, I'm paying the rent. I think it's. Wherever any person goes, wherever you go, you need to adapt. You need to try to adapt to the environment in which you find yourself in. But having said that, not to completely lose your original your culture, etc. I've tried to adapt because I think one of the things that I find, if you are going to, I didn't actually decide initially to remain in this country. My decision was after my HND, and I was going back to Nigeria. But unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know how to describe that, but that is fate. I remained in this country and met my wife. when that happened, then I decided if I'm going to remain in this country, then I have to start to adapt to the way things are done in this country. I mean, there are some issues that are sometimes I can't deal with, particularly when it comes to children, bringing up children, etc. And some of these things. I know that I used to have some clashes with my wife about how to bring up the children, how to discipline them, etc. But I later on came to understand that I think children have to be given the opportunity to express themselves, and I think that is something that I wasn't brought up with. I mean, you were dictated to in a lot of the times. Yeah, it was difficult to get a job. I mean, when I first graduated, because I did my first degree and actually went straight to do my personal management program, diploma in personal management in Leeds. After that, I thought, okay, I would go straight, because on the program at that time in Leeds, everyone except myself and an Asian guy, because we were the only two on the program that were foreign. Every other person got a job except ourselves. We couldn't. And I remember applying for jobs several places, and I remember actually going for an interview once. I remember going for an interview in Chester, actually, in Chester. Got called for the interview, and when I got there, the receptionist said, I said, well, she said, what are you here for? I said, I've come for the interview. And she said, are you sure? I said, of course, I've come. And she said, what's your name? And I mentioned David Derafaka. So she must have thought that David Derafaka was like either German or Spanish or East European name. She said, oh, but I didn't think that it was you. But so when it was for me to go in for the interview, it was being delayed because my interview was actually 11:15, and I remember that 11:15 was allocated, and I got there much earlier because we were told you have to be there before plenty of time, etc. 11:15 came, and I was interviewed. I said, "What's going on? Why am I not being interviewed?" And she said, "Oh, just wait on the personal officer will be coming to this thing. They are doing something else that you'll be interviewed." And I was just messed around until at around 12, I think 12:30 or 12:45, I was told that they will call me back again for the interview because the personal officer wasn't there. Now, there was something that's also very interesting. The group personal officer for that organization actually was on the same program with me, but the group personal officer their base was in Leicester. So I contacted him and I said, I went for an interview in one of your this thing, and he said, what? He said, what? Are you sure? And I said, yeah. So he actually contacted them, and they wrote me back again. They said, oh, Mr. Derafaka, we apologize, etc. This and that. And that.
So did you go back for the interview?
No, I didn't.
Why?
I said I wasn't going to work for an organization that behaved that way. I have 5 children. I have 2 boys and 3 girls. 2 men and 3 women. I have 9 grandchildren altogether, and the family is very close. My family we are very, very close, knit family. We do things together.
Your wife is not Nigerian.
No,
she's
not.
British. How did you meet your wife?
I actually met my wife. Actually, when I came to Liverpool, I used to babysit for her at the time. Although she's quite young. Then she went to university, and then we met.
Oh, you used to babysit her?
Yeah, no, for her, babysit. She had a baby.
Okay.
As a way of actually making money for myself. Even though, as I said, I was almost older than her, let's say.
Yeah.
And then we started going out together. We got married.